What's going on, guys? Time for another recap day. As always, hopping into it. Not too many live trade Twitter calls here or X for the sake of we were focused on the pre-market, but I did post a video of live trading. I'll link that in the description here. If you want to see me trade these micros live, build these accounts, so on and so forth. We did do a live trading video today on some examples, but I do want to give you a little bit more of an example today on the Discord. Okay, so about 5:29 this morning here. We're getting started on just some posts, just watching. We had a 3-up on the market, and this is something that I trade live, and we posted a video on. And just for an example, to show you guys, I go over tons and tons and tons and tons of levels here. I give you algo targets. I explain exactly what the VIX is doing. We go over exactly the trade plans where in this scenario, I said I'd rather see the algorithm push to either the top or bottom of our trade plan. So we had 2 markers there on NQ, and I said, I'm going to play the counter trend. So we set this trade up half hour before it happened. As always, we try to be predictive. And as the market came up and it did a long move, we had a move back down that we had played the counter trend because the trend was up, right? And I go over the levels over here, 20,747, 20,713. I don't want to trade in between these 2 algo levels. I'm going to wait till something pushes up to one of these levels or down to one of those levels, and I will play the opposing side, counter trending that trade. So comes all the way back up. We hit the top algo, right? So we go over all these trade plans. I blab and I blab and I blab and I blab. I answer questions all pre-market. We post every picture. I explained every single trade coming into it. Even the short, after we hit our said target to the top side, goes all the way down. Here's exactly what we said. Again, I explained the whole trade. We were in the center range right here. Posted a million pictures half hour before it happens. Comes up to 20,747. Exactly as we said. I would go to short here or long here. I don't care what happens in the middle. I wait for an extreme to play the counter trend, especially in pre-market. And I went over all of this pre-market in the Discord step by step before it happened, and boom, hit the level. Big fat short candle you see there. So absolutely beautiful. Trade worked out exactly as planned. It doesn't matter if it would have went up or down. We had a bunch of data coming in, explained a bunch of the data. Little P&L update for the day. We started with like 1171 on the day. All my orders, exits, timing, time held, full breakdown Fibonacci on algo candles. I am blabbing in chat. And this is our private Discord. Now, it's not just a text service. I do this live, 8 a.m. Central. You will see my screen and the breakdowns. I will not show you every single tiny trade. This is not some follower alert service where you pay me a couple dollars a month and I make you rich. That is ridiculous. I will teach you how to do this every single day that the market's open, though. And I go through a ton of content. Okay. So as we started the live trade again, as I'm streaming it live, I'm still going over, I'm still posting pictures, all for the back test, all for the data. A lot of off topic stuff, some funny memes here and there, but members killed it today. Big proud of them. 700s, 900s, 1000, 1200 green, 460, tiny red, 1680 greens, another small update in P&L, 1800, yada, 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 as we go on. And that is, just an example of what we do. And again, no real trade calls today. Just proud of the members hitting some monster greens with us. And yeah, they did absolutely stellar. So let's get into some of the breakdown here on what we had seen today. So I'm only going to go over a couple key indicators here on some beautiful range, some beautiful algos that we had that we called long or short. So we had data 7:15 a.m. Central, and I'll build this with you guys so you guys can kind of see how the brain works start to finish. What I did for the Fibonacci, high-low like always. I create a box. I pointed this one to the downside because I was popped to short metric all day today looking for further shorts out of the gate just because we were way too high from yesterday's push, and we had a weekly Fibonacci I will go over on QQQ after this example. So when we got into the data candle, I'm very, very adamant here on Fibonacci extensions, right? So this one right here was Fib boxed out, and then we hit the golden pocket. The golden pocket is in the center of the Fibonacci, right? And when we had the push in here, it looked like it was breaking lows right here. Broke lows, broke lows, broke lows, just lower lows on the 5-minute chart kind of stacking up, which is fine. I still called it long into the golden pocket and then back down as it wanted to walk down the extensions. So we ran into 1618, 2618, and one of my favorites, 423.60, right? So we had some pretty mass extensions even past that today, and we hit the red alert zone, which is the 666. I can't really tell you why I have this here. Very secret, very, very hidden stuff. Batman level, you know the drill. So after it came down to the 1618, 2618, my favorite level, 423, and slipped, we went to the red zone, and this was a you got to click buy. So we bottomed it out here, and I'll explain where the Fibonacci is on the QQQ as well in a second here. But this was my buy zone right here for the low, and we caught an absolute monster bottom all the way back up, and then we caught two different trades. But that bounce is what I'm going to stay specific on. So this was the NQ extension to the downside just because of the 715 data candle. That is it. It washed, and I'm a counter trend player a lot of the time. So on this heavy extension, I added in and I bought this bottom here. And let's get right into Qs and show you exactly where. So yesterday's high low is the Fibonacci sequence that we had on Qs that you should be paying attention to. You will see yesterday's high low Fibonacci. If you draw a fib retracement from the top of the bottom of yesterday's candle, you will find this being your golden pocket. Okay, the golden pocket is obviously in between 61.8 and 38.20 here. So my long levels today were anything bouncing any of these levels for a hit, right? Because it's going to be a first tag. And what I mean by that is price action, the first time it meets one of these Fibonacci points, it's the first time it's ever met that person, ever, right? Brand new acquaintance. So it has a opposing reaction a lot of the time. So let's focus this opening morning dump. We're going to do the same thing on QQQ that we did on NQ. We're going to grab 7:15 Central. I'm going to point it to the downside just like I always do. Boom. Okay. So we have our fibs to the downside, which help us on the way back up. We have the 666 right here on that 50. So that's where I bought in the first one. So I had a management trade today. We opened up to the dip, and I wanted the dip to rip. So we were all short biased here for a mini dip, and I wanted to see her snap back up and then ultimately fall by the end of the day. I called short macro, which means we will end red on the day. And I'm looking for further downside into the end of the day, but not before this pop. So first tag, right? So now I'm going to delete the fib that we did on the data candle because you know what we're talking about there because we just went through it on NQ. I want to focus on these dailies, okay? So as price action came down, I seen this thing wipe out my 50, which is very rare, 497.64. And again, this price level comes from using yesterday's high low, the high and the low. Draw a fib, you will get 497.64. This is where I started my long position, okay? And I started, 1 to 3 contracts. We played some micros this morning on the smalls. So I did some MNQs. No big deal. It washed immediately through my level. Okay, that's fine. The next big level we have is 496.76. So not only do we have a first tag, we had one good reaction right here, over under, and then she smashed into the lower golden pocket. This is the strongest support you have in the world of golden pocket because it is the bottom, which means if the price action is coming from the top of this fib and it's running down into level, the bottom box of the Fibonacci, because price action is coming from death from above, right, coming down, it'd be opposite if it was coming bottom from up. Your top would be the 61.8, not the 38.20, right? So the strongest part of the support on the day was this guy right here, 496.76, because it is the last remaining fib before it launches itself into the abyss, which is yesterday's lows. So we had a high percentile chance to bounce one of these golden pocket levels, high percent. So I started long here, and then dollar cost average and another long here. And then we ran this beast up like 76 points on some micros. Awesome trade, right? That is a great MNQ trade, no matter which way you cut it. It's a solid trade. I think we did. Let me go look just so you can see the P&Ls. Locked myself out of my own account like always, just in case there's some phantom orders. I've heard some stories. What did we do today? 1,800, 1,800, 1,800, 1,800. So all these accounts are now at 32, 4,000. So we did 18. Oh, it's up there. 1,800 right here on the Express accounts. So $1,800. A big portion of that came from a 70-some point long that we called from the golden pocket. Now the takeaway is first tag golden pocket, and the strongest part of it is because price action is coming from the top to the bottom. So the bottom channel of the golden pocket is massive support. Okay, and now we drew a couple other trade plans moving into the end of the day, and I said short, short, short. So wait for the pop, short everything else, roll it down. Well, lo and behold, I said long to yesterday's close from there. So I called the long here. I called the top at yesterday's close. Wow, amazing. Yesterday's close, long bottom. Great. We hit the whole range. Doesn't happen every day. We're not bragging here. We're just being humble and going, damn, I can't believe it hit the range perfectly to the penny. That does not happen every day. Don't kid yourself. So after this long came about, I said we're going to have a nice one more little bounce, right, back up because we had some gaps intraday and some explanations going very well. And then I said later on, we're coming right back down because the macro short. Why? Why are we going back short? Because we're staying inside the weekly zone. Last week's Fibonacci now, I'll give you guys the sauce because I didn't do a breakdown yesterday because we got busy. Last week's high-low. You just heard me talk about Fibonacci on the daily chart high-low from yesterday. Now you're hearing me talk about it on the high-low on the weekly, okay? Let's take a peek at this because this was Monday's bounce point, right? 494.46. That was what we went long of on early in the week on Monday. And then Tuesday had that banger. Well, same thing. Now let's look at the top. We are trapped inside the weekly high-low. This is last week's candle, okay? We came down, hit golden pocket, had a couple days worth of bouncing. We came into 531. What's that? 500.31. That's the top of the weekly range. If we cannot break out of that and hold that, confirming support. What is confirmation on support? You break over a level, you back test the level, you freaking rocket ship after. This is confirmation of support. Did we get that today? No, we bumped its head and flew down because we had zero reason to do so, right? And I'm not going to go into all the metrics again on how I knew it was going to be short. Easy. We check the other videos. We went through 3 videos explaining the roll down here from the weekly. Let's look at the intraday one more time. Take a peek at where the, okay, TOS is doing TOS things. Hold on. There we go. Oh, load time. Okay, we're good. Take a peek at where the top of the day was, okay? Yesterday's close is what I called, oh, there's your weekly fib. That's the top of last week's candle. 500.31. We just went over it, right? Look at the price action. Boop, right into it. See ya. Where's it going? Golden pocket, obviously. Price action's coming down from the top. So let's zoom out. Let's get the bigger picture. We can even go to a 30-30, which I like to do a lot of the time for the macro version of things. This is, again, why I call it short. I'll give you one more little hint here for the free YouTubes, even though I don't even think I gave my chat this one, but we had a first gap no tag on the daily yesterday. So that means it pushed into that gap up we had on QQQ. This big channel is the gap up on the daily chart, okay? And when price action pushes into there, there's like an 80% chance that the gap does not fill the first time price action goes into it, okay? First tags matter. It is insanely important that you guys understand that the first tags that computer algorithms utilize in the market are very important. Are they 100% accurate? Nothing is. No, but the probability is insane. So the 30-30 chart bounced, or all price action bounced at the golden pocket yesterday. That was the first tag of the weekly, okay? We just showed you where we got the weekly. Weekly's teal, daily white. Those are the price level colors, okay? Bumped its head right on the top. Where's it going? Womp, womp, womp. We already hit the 494.46 and we bounced it right here. So we're going for, you guessed it, gap fill and 492.65 next. Those are our next targets. We'll give those away freebie style. What's going to help us out? The volatility index, right? I almost put that on the OBS screen instead. So last but not least, we have the the volatility indexes gap levels. Now we had one little gap that no filled here, so we're going to remember that guy at 1938. But more importantly, we had gaps open from yesterday at $20.10. See this big gap in price action right here at $20.10 right here yesterday? That is a price action gap. That is something that the algorithms remember. And if you run away from that on day one, you have a chance to come up in the next couple days to meet that gap, to close that gap. We call those magnets, right? And we do that on everything whenever there's a gap. So price action came up today, set 2 more gaps, pressed up, filled that $20.10 gap, and then launched itself into the abyss because that gap is a very strong algorithmic over-under. Trust me, I understand these algos very well. So the 5-day hits. What else do we hit? My crew knows right away. They answered it in chat. The +1 deviation. The likelihood that we stay outside the +1 deviation, very minimal. So what happened? Obviously fails. Obviously right up the $20.10 mark. Yeah, push past it a little bit, but still filled the gap. Nothing's perfect. Comes down, leaves this gap. Now we have to use our brains to remember this guy, okay? But what does that do for our ending trade? Well, we knew the VIX had to come up here and then flop. This was the early morning long because VIX down, market up. So I knew that after the VIX filled $20.10, we were going to come back down here and have an opportunity to fill this gap. So the VIX had all that range down. What does that mean? Market up, right? But it bounced ahead of time and never filled $19.38. Okay, well, no big deal. Market's going to do whatever it wants to do. So what's next? The VIX, higher lows, and gives you a beautiful trend. Look at MACD. Small sell wave, big buy wave, moving average crosses, back over the zero line MAC, higher low RSI, oscillation indicators. Obviously, if you want to know how to use these, check my YouTube and the indicators we use. I explain exactly how to use RSI and MAC for our trading style. VIX is readable through technical analysis. Anybody that says otherwise is a silly goose. So the gap right here was filled. We push back up, and we know that the VIX is going to slam up. We have the oscillation indicators to say so, and we're in an uptrend. The standard deviation is pointing up, so we have a higher likelihood of going up. Notice the lines are all pointed directionally up for the standard deviation, which means we have a higher percent chance to go up, okay? So we get the higher low on the RSI, we get the higher low on the MAC, everything is pointing strong up, but why am I still macro bearish on the market? Well, we're holding the -1, we're holding higher lows and now higher highs in sequence, right? Because these highs got beat out today by these highs, and then we created higher lows. So the pinnacle moment for me is if $20 tends to be a rocket ship level and we see further development in the bearish, we're going to see over $20, which is going to cause a lot of fear in the market, okay? And that's how we're going to get down to the gap fill if it wants to, right? The market is still up to the market, okay? We're still at the bend of the market because if something weird happens, we get scammed off with some crazy news, well, so what? It happens because SMCI news today hurting all the chip sectors in tech was a big catalyst for the downside early morning as well. That's also one of the looming things for chip and tech because there is no such thing as the S&P 500 right now. It's literally just NVIDIA and the chippers. Anything that moves AI, that's it. There's only the Mag 7, right? And like 4 of those are what holds up the stock market. If you guys trade, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So long story short, the gap fill is what we're going to be looking for. If it holds above the gap, that's fine. We're just going to look for it to continue higher, and it has a metric to do so. If it does not want to do that, it's not going to do that. Market's going to do whatever the market wants, right? So thanks for tuning in. If you found any value in this video, I do stream live every single day. You want to join us? The link is in the description. If you want to support us another way, we do trade a lot of funded accounts through Top Step and Apex. So we have a code, TG33. You want to grab some Apex accounts? Come on into the chat. We'll see you there. If not, we'll see you on the next vid. Take care.